Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond Condition podcast, the voice of bodybuilding. And today I'm reunited with the one and only Romana. I always want to, when you had that female bodybuilding channel when they did that like stream and shout out of you on their stories last season, and they were like, Romana. I always think of that. And I'm like, I can't speak properly, but I want to intro you like that.
Yeah, the way AJ rolls the R is yeah, something special.
She's peeled from the back.
I think he kept using the term backside, and obviously I think it means something different in Europe to what it means in the UK.
For sure, for sure. I
Yeah.
just, sometimes things stick in your head. I'm like, that's gonna stick in my head literally for the rest of my life. But it's stuff like
And
that, like it's cool stuff like that on the competitive journey that you do remember, like just random shit.
I'll always remember Stephen from PCA, the MC dude, the Scottish dude. I remember being very impressed that he pronounced my name correctly when he announced me at the first PCA show I did.
Yeah. Because it is a thing, like if your name is of a, if it's quite hard to read or maybe from a different country or whatever, it's quite good to actually tell the MC because you don't know if they're gonna say it right.
And Bob Chick said it right as well, so
We're winning.
yeah.
So, of
Oh
course,
dear.
we're actually reversing out ourselves. So, this listener
Yes.
suggestion on YouTube, thank you to the YouTube listener that suggested we talk about reversing out a bit more. Because, again, it's like we're steering the ship of what we feel is useful. But if we ever hear from people, we'll absolutely talk about these things. So, what an apt time. And first of all, the first question that I want to start with, which is a good segue into what reversing out is. Because when we're bodybuilders, we're like, well, we know what a reverse out is. But I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes it's quite, hard to explain, as it were. But Vic, who's actually a new client of mine, and she's super, super intrigued by bodybuilding. She's like, wow, this is so cool. And it's, when you start coaching someone that's just really like, whoa,
Yeah.
it's literally the best. And she said, is this when you come out of a prep? And if so, will fat return as calories increase? So we've spoken about this before. Actually, one of the huge contributors to regaining health is to gain some body fat. But I feel like
Yeah.
that could easily be a misconception, right? That it's like, no, no, I don't want to gain fat, but you have to.
I've got a client that I've just taken through a 7 month diet, and she's got the bug, and she now wants to compete.
Mm.
And is in exactly the same position where we finished the diet and now we need to start reversing out. And she said to me the other day, she was like, "Oh, can I not just carry on and get as lean as possible?" And it's trying to communicate that yeah, getting lean is good and you get a lot of positive reinforcement, but how that actually manifests in the body when it comes to recovering from that level of low body fat,
Yeah.
it hits different. And it's kind of, she's lost like 60 pounds in 7 months. That's like a 12-year-old. It's mental. But it's trying to teach people that you're not going to, especially if you're coach, you're not going to go back to the level of body fat that maybe you started working with a coach at. We're not going to let you.
Yes.
Like there's a healthy level of body fat that is productive to muscle growth, and then there is too much body fat where yeah, it's unhealthy. And if you have I want to say decent coach, if you have a coach, I don't think I don't think it's even well, you'd hope most coaches are decent, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They should prevent that from happening, that unhealthy, unproductive level of body fat.
Mm.
So, but yeah, you do need to put on some body fat. You can't stay stage lean
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most of your friends and loved ones would probably check out and be like, I'm off.
Yeah. I can't cope with this anymore.
I'm fed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Like you say as well, it's really relevant on, the length of diet your client's done. So 7 months is a long period of time. And if that's,
Mhm.
the first time of working under a coach like yourself, where it's more of that bodybuilding type deficit and, not just a sort of, and when I say that, I mean like a Slimming World or whatever, they're different types of diets. Whereas if this is a constructed diet, very much a prep, photo shoot or show, you
Yeah.
are pushing vectors, you are pushing the deficit in a different way. So by the time you get to that 7 months and you've reached the pinnacle physique for that person, it's like actually if we continued that, yes, like you say, you could, but you've already done that 7 months. You know what you've geared towards that. Is it better to come out, refresh, be able to go into a bit of a growth phase, be able to then go into a diet and it be, again, it could be another 7 months, but you've had the growth phase in between the maintenance, you made progression, and then this person can diet as well.
Yeah. And the other thing to remember is, and this is something I'm definitely learning, is the more muscle mass you have, the easier it is to get in shape to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Some aspects it's harder, like getting the last little bit, but when you've got a bigger engine effectively
Yeah.
to contribute to fat loss. If the more muscle you have, the higher metabolism, the more demand that muscle is going to have.
Yeah.
Theoretically, the quicker you should lose body fat.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, and you know it's about bodybuilding. It's not body get on stage exactly the same as you did last year. And for that process to happen, you have to get a little bit uncomfortable and get out of that diet phase.
Yeah, because it's I I do definitely feel, and we spoke about this over voice note when we were saying about doing this topic. It absolutely comes with experience. I've done 7 show reverses out, and then this diet reverse out, so 8 in total. You've done plenty of reverses out as well, and we've said so many times over voice notes there's not that desire to smash a load of food and send yourself into a hole, and all of the things that happen early on you sort of get those
Mm,
done and you're like I don't want to go back there, and it's very hard to go, well, do this or don't do this when you haven't done it before, because you're not dealing with these intense hunger hormones and everything that's happened, and it's quite a hard concept until you do it, and we can only support a certain amount, can't we? Because of
yeah.
course, we're coaching remotely, and it's like this is what I'd like you to do. A very good example as well is being able to, when you come out of your diet and you start the reverse out, and we spoke about this, have a plan. Now, what's good about us two is we have different versions of what a plan would look like, and we can speak about
Hmm.
what your plan was as such. Particularly early on, I feel like it's very good to understand at least a structure of, keeping your meal timings around the same, what sort of
Yeah.
food you can incorporate. What does your post-show meal look like? Are you having a few days off? Like, what's the best route for you as an athlete and by your coach? Now, when we say plan, be cool to hear your take on that, because it's like it's a very different kettle of fish at this point for you, isn't it, in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how many preps I've done now. I mean, not, I don't, it sounds, I think, hang on a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think this is like my 10th reverse, I think. Um, and they have changed as I've got more muscle and I've become kind of more in tune with how I deal with reverse. So for me personally, when I first started, it was very much right. Here's your plan for your reverse out, gradually increasing calories. It was a taper down of cardio. Now it's very much cardio out, like just straight out. Mainly that's more to do with age and I'm getting going to be 40 in 6 weeks. And it's for me like prep a switch flicks and it's like cardio, right, go. And I don't have the same headspace for it when I'm in off season because there will be a point where I probably do need to have some cardio for health reasons. But right now it's like, right, rest and recover. Um, get my joints back to feeling good, getting that body fat up, that sort of thing. So yeah, it was very structured to start off with. Now it's more a case of I need that mental release of not being told what to do. And it's normally about a week to 2 weeks. And that doesn't mean I go completely mental and eat the world. It normally means I still weigh out my food, but I'm in control of it.
Mhm.
And I'm in control of my meal timings. Meal timings for me personally, they do adjust because I'm going from prep poverty calories to 6 meals a day in off season. So I have to get in the routine of eating that first meal as soon as I'm up. Otherwise, the whole day goes to shit.
Yeah.
Normally, there'll be some off plans in there. There
Mm.
might be some, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. It might, I'll probably weigh out my oats and my rice, but if I'm having bagel, sourdough, cereal, or anything like that, just chuck it in a bowl. Um, and my biggest thing is snacking. I love a good snack.
I love
So
a snack.
it's having snacks on top of the meals. And as I say, that's like a week, 2 weeks. And then I gradually sort of taper off the snacks and get more focused on the plan, mainly because it gets to a point where it's like the snacking takes away from the clean eating. So that's unproductive.
Mm.
But again, it's in my control. And I think part of that as well is living with my coach. And it's just like, do you know what? You've told me what to do for the last 6 months. I just want to do my own thing for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not eating the world.
Yeah, and it's also when you say snacks, like we've spoken about this, it's the preference to like a flapjack or I
Yeah,
like my oats and valley bars, like they're basically made of oats and a bit of honey or whatever. So our preference to what the snacks would be like, yeah, we're going to incorporate stuff, and we're absolutely as humans as well as bodybuilders, we're allowed to want certain foods, right? Like
yeah,
it's and I feel like there's almost this. And this actually leads into a question about how to deal with intense hunger without binging. Is if you shut off every, yeah, you can do it, but let me tell you, every bodybuilder that puts on Instagram that they're like, no, 100% to the plan, don't have anything else, da da da. It's often not the case because I've spent time with a lot of bodybuilders at the height of their game, and actually, what they learn to do is incorporate the things that would maybe lead to, if they restrict from those things, having the binge, having the out of control, oh my God, because you can absolutely include foods in a reverse out,
yeah,
even through portion of a prep. It's on a food plan, but it's this. I feel the heavy restriction in the phases. There's a time and a place for it. Needed.
exactly.
But if you keep trying to, and I tried it, I'd be like, no, if I have a square of dark chocolate, I don't want it enough. And it's like, no, 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 no. Let's just have a bit of context here to food is food. And when we actually look at it, the food you eat, generally speaking, your body sees it as the carbs, fats, the protein. Now,
Yeah,
if you lean, like you said, it become unproductive. If you're leaning towards the ultra processed foods all day long, every day, it's not going to be good for your health. It's not going to be good for your training, etc. However,
your guts are probably going to tell you about it before anything else post prep.
for sure, for sure. However, if you said, right, I'm going to put some cheese with my eggs and my bagel, that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's
Well, my biggest thing is bacon lardons.
you love the bacon, don't you?
Yeah, with scrambled egg and a bit of mozzarella or avocado.
Oh, and this is
And
the thing. It's like it's good food. It's not.
it's not like, I mean, yeah, I did have KFC yesterday, but you know, there has to be some balance. And again, going back to my client that's just come out of their diet phase, it's like there's a time and a place for restriction, and prep is that place. But you have to be able to come out of that restriction because otherwise you're just building unhealthy habits.
That's
And
it.
you need to be able to go and have an off plan and not feel guilty about it. Like, or if you want that piece of chocolate,
Mm.
not beat yourself up afterwards about it. And I used to be that person that's like, it's not on my plan. And even when Dan and I met 3 years ago, I'd been a pro for 2 years, and it was still very much like, no, I can't have that. It's not on my plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I can't swap out rice for bagels. It's
Mm.
not on my plan.
Mm.
And he's like, what?
Yeah.
So Dan actually did help with that kind of balance within my own approach to bodybuilding. But yeah, to just be a robot all the fucking time, you're probably going to burn out, and you're probably only going to last a few seasons before you're like, fuck this. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I must apologize for the burping that may take place during this podcast. We've both been ill, haven't we?
Yeah, we've
And
both had some GI. upset. I would say
Mm,
the reverse out as well, actually. A really good sort of thing to mention is actually how susceptible you are if you aren't being able to incorporate getting some body fat on, being able to, prioritize your sleep, keep your hydration there. The normal things we've spoken about across the prep episodes, but you're so much more susceptible. It's like in prep almost, you can keep going.
yeah.
And then the reverse out, you can sometimes be hit with, more likelihood of bugs or which I've had, or you've had some food poisoning. You and
I've been,
yeah,
I mean, what am I now? 6 weeks post show,
mm,
and I think I have had something more or less every week.
yeah, because you're vulnerable, aren't you? I know that sounds,
Yeah,
but it is.
you know, calorie deficit will suppress your immunity. If you're enhanced, gear suppresses your immunity. You're then like fucking knackered from
Yeah,
however many weeks of dieting, cardio, shit sleep. And like we've spoken about on the sleep fuckwittery episode, your sleep just doesn't return. Oh, prep's over. Right, I'm sleeping through the night again.
yeah,
And I think that's the biggest factor to my susceptibility at the moment to getting ill is the fact my sleep is still fucked up.
yeah.
And part of that was the GI upset I had last week. Yeah, the fizzy chicken bit me in the ass.
You had some fizzy chicken, guys. But the other things that you've had, I would say a lot of it's contributing to the heavy fatigue and the sleep. Obviously, in the
Yeah.
UK, we've had some multiple sort of heat waves and things like
Oh,
that, and it just. I feel like there is an element, depending on the athlete and the mindset there. I feel like in prep, you sort of like the mindset takes over to a certain degree for some of us, and maybe you don't allow yourself to lean into the illness as much. You've got this show and whatever, and then it's like off the back of that. And this is where the hunger hormones, like I found it very hard to understand the hunger hormones analogy when I first started out because I was like, yeah, but I've eaten fuck all, so why do I suddenly the next day feel hungry? Like what? Like I've been fine,
yeah.
not fine, but I've been able to tolerate it. But it's when you start putting the food in right, and your body's like, hello, what's this?
It,
And your body physiologically realizes, okay, shit, we haven't been in a good spot for quite some time.
it's also the food goes in and you get that kind of spark of your metabolism again.
Yeah.
It's like your metabolism's down regulated to match the demands of the lack of food that you're having. You then put the food back in, and it's like chucking firewood on some embers, and that's energy requirement. So you're up regulating your furnace, so to speak, and that's gonna just trigger those hunger signalings. I can't talk today.
Signalings. I like that. I like that signaling. Do you have
Signalings.
do you have
Hmm?
any more expansion on the question about dealing with the intense hunger without binging? Because that obviously we've spoken about incorporating some, food variety. I always try and think back to how that felt when I didn't have the experience of, where we're at now because it what like yeah, I mean, it's very hard to explain how it feels until you're there because it is intense is the right word. It's like, what the fuck? And you can't stop thinking about food because your body's crying out for it, isn't it?
I mean, personally, with my clients, I make sure that the good fats are nice and high. So
Mm,
you're slowing down the food transit food through digestion by having those fats in, but you're also then supporting the return of natural hormone production with those fats as well. And this is a trick I do during prep as well as post prep, is things like, I mean, it's not 0 cal today. This is banging, by the way.
oh,
Peach
that's
Fanta.
the American one.
Yeah. Fizzy drinks
Yeah.
help, bubbles, fill your stomach up. Something I do during prep is I can't drink my EAs when I train because it tends to make me quite bloated. So when I'm in prep, I will take my allowed EAs and I will have them probably either side of the training window, nice big 2 litre bottle, and just sip on that while I'm working. And that seems to help as well with some of the negative effects of hunger, that intense emptiness,
Mm,
as well as the drop in cognitive function, because
yeah.
it does have that little bit of carb in it that's just trickling through. So
Mm,
those are my sort of biggest things. Distraction is probably
yeah.
the be all and end all. It's like whether that's something on Netflix, for me, it's blood reports. Like if I want to lose myself for 3 hours writing blood reports.
Yeah.
Obviously, not everyone can do that, but distraction is
Yeah, like
definitely one of the big things.
I do feel as well, and again, it's dependent on your mindset and your why of the sport. You know, if you have aspirations to be able to continue as a competitor, could be different if you've done one prep and you're like, fuck that, I ain't doing it again. It could be a very different narrative. I would say, you know, generally speaking, when we think about what we've done in a prep, it's like I just mentioned, I've done that. So I know I can, you know, have a level of discipline. And this is the thing, we touched on this when it's like be kind to yourself. There's a difference to being kind to yourself and actually going, right, I'm going to book a massage. I'm going to sit and watch Netflix for a bit. Maybe I can distract myself by doing some food prep, like the normal stuff. But just sinking yourself into a hole of, you know, eating a load of food and stuff, it then builds these food pathologies. And actually, you're probably going to feel quite negative after.
Massage is another good one
Yeah.
for distracting from hunger because you
Yeah.
can't eat while you're being massaged.
Yeah. And it feels
Um,
nice to be touched, like when you're out that initial bit, just to have someone
yeah,
care for you.
yeah, definitely. And it's that self-care. Your body's been wrecked, your mind's been wrecked, and both like a massage will help both body and mind. It's relaxation as well as release of tension.
Yeah, yeah. And it's
And there was something else you said, and I've forgotten what it was. Uh,
you'll remember, you'll remember. It's just I
yeah,
feel
I'm
like
sure.
it's the, you know, understanding what your steps forward are as well, because if you have if you've come out of it and then I knew you'd remember, and then you're not going to go back to bodybuilding, that's going to be a different mindset potentially, that if you know you're going to do an off season, you want it to be productive, you know.
Yeah. I remembered what it is. So that intense hunger feeling, the issue post show is if you act on that intense hunger and you do binge. I mean, is it a binge or is it overeating?
This is the thing as well, because there's a lot thrown around in the bodybuilding space. This is something
Yeah,
to talk about. It's like sometimes you've just overeaten a bit, guys. Like
yeah,
you haven't suddenly got a food disorder, but you feel
yeah,
so bad that you've eaten more than being full that you start getting,
yeah.
oh my God, I've bit, and that can end up making it worse.
And the thing is, it's like if you do overeat to the extent that you vomit,
That's
it's it's still it's a difference between you filled your stomach that has shrunk during prep and you've now put a load of food in it. So it's now stretched.
mm,
That's the uncomfortable fullness feeling. Now, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that that in itself can make you vomit.
yeah,
And I don't know, I might be stepping on dodgy ground here because I am in no way, shape, or form an eating disorder expert. But from my understanding, like the binge purge cycle has a lot of underlying emotion and there's a lot of complexities to it, but it results in a purposeful effort to eliminate food from your body either by vomiting or by laxatives.
for sure.
So if you eat so much that you are unintentionally vomiting, that to me isn't a binge,
Mhm.
that is overeating, stretching your stomach, and the result is vomiting. If you eat so much, have a mix of emotions, feel a lot of guilt, feel some low self-worth, that side of complexities, and then go and do something to excrete that food from your body, whether it's swallowing a packet of laxatives or sticking your fingers down your throat, that is a different kettle of fish, I think.
Yeah,
But
I
as I said,
you do. I feel like again, this is something that maybe like it can be quite hard when you watch these things on Instagram and stuff where it's like I feel like people almost want to be put into this like there's this like camp of, well, you binge eat and you've got whatever food disorder, whatever these things are, and it's like actually sometimes I think there could be a mixture of a few things there, and we could call that a
yeah,
food pathology. And
yeah,
actually, you know, when you look at it, I really like how you said about the emotions. Maybe you've gone for your post-show meal and you're, you know, really happy and you've
yeah.
eaten more than you realized because it doesn't come till about 10, 20 minutes after and you think, holy shit, my stomach's
I
so,
can't move.
yeah. And it's not necessarily you've done it to detriment yourself. You've just got excited by the burger with the cheese in it and some sauce and some
Yeah,
chips. And it's like, I'm probably full, but I want to have a dessert. I'm really excited. I've done my show. Da, 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 da. And then, like you say, okay, you get that dump. But then when we look at the binge side, it's more like you can even go in a room, lock the room, eat, a lot of highly processed foods. You've intentionally gone, I'm going to eat all of this food, and you keep eating, and then there's the purging, however you want to do, whatever the purge is,
yeah.
whether it's the laxatives or fingers down your throat, etc. And then there's that guilt, shame, a lot, a lot. And there is a difference, and I'm glad you spoke about that because I feel like again it can lead to if you do overeat and you don't understand the difference, you start to think I'm a shit bodybuilder, I've fucked it up. Actually, guys, if you've overeaten, speak to your coach and you haven't fucked it up. You can get back on track. Absolutely, you can.
Again, I've got a client who she's lifestyle, but she's wanting to go through a prep-esque diet. And we something happened at some point, and she was like, "Oh, I binged last night." Oh no, it was when I was setting her up. She was like, "Yeah, I've got a history of binge eating." I was like, "Can you just elaborate what you mean by that?" And she was like, "Well, I never feel full, so I just keep eating."
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was like, "Right. So what makes you think it's a binge?" Well, it's what my mum has always told me I do.
Okay.
And I'm like, "Right, okay." And I was like, "So what does a binge look like for you?" And she sort of was like, "Oh, I might have two starters, a main, a dessert, bag of popcorn, and if I'm still hungry, something else when I get home."
Yeah.
Well, that to me isn't a binge. That's
Big capacity.
you've got an insatiable appetite
Yeah,
and you've acted on it.
for sure. Like
Um,
the thing is as well, it
there's
might be
no,
you don't eat all day and then you eat that amount. It doesn't. Yeah, yeah.
and it was, well, do you have then any emotional attachment? No, no, I'm just hungry.
Yeah.
So, right, so you've just got an insatiable appetite, which is enviable
Yeah, well, yeah.
if you want to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah. Oh shit. We got
But that was all based on the fact that her mum has that kind of slightly archaic women shouldn't overeat.
yeah.
Oh, you're binging. And it's that negative connotation that somebody else has sort of inflicted on somebody. And that has then stuck with them into their adult life, where there wasn't any emotional attachment necessarily to the eating of the food,
Mm,
but oh, well, mum says that I binge, so this is a bad thing. I shouldn't be doing this.
yeah.
And the way we mitigate it was, okay, so if I give you an off plan, I'll just give you some guidance, tell you what to eat.
For sure, for sure.
Starter, main, dessert, end of.
Yeah.
When you leave the restaurant, that's the end of your off plan.
Love that. Also, as well,
Yeah,
actually sprung to my mind about if you are literally directly post show, that because we went last night and Beth, who competed yesterday, Matt and I sat with her and had a post show meal, and she was like, looking at the menu, and I was like, "What do you fancy? What's have a look?" And she chose one thing, and then she was like, actually no, I don't fancy that. Can I have this? And I was like, absolutely, we're going to sit and enjoy a nice meal, some meat, some carbohydrates, some fats, like it's a nice meal. And then they came around with the
yeah,
dessert menu, and I didn't have a dessert because obviously my stomach was dodgy. Matt had a dessert, and she was like, I'd love to have a dessert. And what was really nice was that it was a sticky toffee pudding. I know you like sticky toffee pudding. And she was like, oh my God, coach, that tastes so good. And she ate it really slowly. We were talking, and then she went home, and it was just like a really nice experience of like she had a main and they also bring out some extra chips because her main had normal fries and then she had a different side. She left it. She was like, I didn't want it. And she was like, I'm really proud of myself because I didn't want to eat unnecessary food. I was just really satiated. So maybe that could be a tip as well if you're going for your,
yeah,
and like you said, guidelines or like actually going, do I need to eat all of this or could I enjoy
yeah.
the palate experience?
And it's remembering that a lot of what we miss out on in prep, yeah, there is the hunger and the want to eat, but it's the social element of the eating.
Yes.
It's the being present. It's the going with your person, with your people, with your friends, with your family, and engaging in that positive social event altogether that you would have sacrificed through your prep. And it's also remembering that those people that have come to support you, they may have driven X amount of miles, they may have been there for you through the whole of your prep. It's giving back to them as well. Speaking of sticky toffee pudding, I know Sarah will probably be listening, and I picked up Rogue yesterday from her and got given two sticky toffee puddings that have gone in the freezer waiting for Dan and I's next off plan. So yeah,
The thing is, though, it's like, when I reference that experience, I sat there and I thought, what a nice way to celebrate doing a show. It was
yeah,
it was just a simple, and she was just so content, with doing the show. And we just sat there relaxed. And obviously, as the coaches are like, you need to get hydrated. You need to get hydrated.
yeah,
Another tip as well, if you are talking about how to deal with the high amount of hunger directly after the show on the night or the day after, or maybe that first week, stay hydrated, kids.
yeah,
Please,
yeah. Because
please.
it's your body can quite often confuse thirst for hunger, and you're dehydrated generally as a rule on show day. My other thing is I generally will have something clean before we go for the off plan.
Yes, I'm.
So whether that's oats, it's normally chicken rice, almond butter, and peanut butter.
It's normally all of the good vibes. I love it as well. I remember one of my shows last season. I had, and this was really random. My coach had it as like in his lunchbox. So I had two rice cakes, and that's really fucking boring, but it's bikini girl thing. And then he was like, "Would you like some of this guacamole?" And I was like, "Guacamole? Wow!" And I had
Ooh.
that with some chicken. Obviously, protein's normally quite low on show day, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like just sitting there lean with the rice cakes. Oh my God, I'm so and then like a Pepsi Max or a coffee or a Starbucks, you have your frappes or something like that.
Frappes are good. Also, if you're having something savory post show, because the biggest thing is like, I want something sweet. But if you have something savory with some salt on it, I bet you, with the hydration as well, you'll feel like a new person.
Yeah.
Because that to me is the biggest thing that makes me feel shit on show day is low salt.
Yeah, yeah. And if you do preference like the bakes and things, you can just keep, generally speaking, you can keep eating them. It sort of sparks this like sweet tooth, as it were. Whereas if you do sit and have a nice meal, yeah, I completely agree. It just hits different.
Yeah,
It's a vibe.
definitely.
Okay, so we also had a question which be interesting to know what you would answer to this. I'm gonna put it over to you. PED protocols and unique challenges of female competitors. So the PED protocols, I would say speak to your coach. What would you say?
There's some definite no's. Can EQ.
Yeah, yeah,
Halo.
yeah,
But yeah, there's no sweeping protocol for one person. It's, individually based off blood work, based off risk acceptance, based off tolerability to an extent. You may have tried things in off season that don't necessarily agree with you, so
mhm,
you wouldn't use them in a prep scenario. I wouldn't suggest using something that you've never used before in a prep scenario because you're just leaving yourself open to fuckwittery that could fuck up your prep.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I don't think there's no one size fits every prep. It also depends what category you are. Like my PED stack is going to look very, very different to your PED stack.
Sure, for sure. I feel like as well the reversing out, the only thing I could probably say as a blanket statement, as it were, is and I'm sure we've touched on this before, where you could look at a titration down of certain things like T3. Again,
Yep.
that would I would like to think that your coach advises what to do in regards to
Yeah.
PEDs and what you're looking at in the reverse out. But sometimes if you take everything out, it's a bit of a you're taking and then it's like, oh, everything gone.
Had that. That was, yeah,
Not
just
great. Yeah.
whipped everything out. Like the carpet's been pulled from under you. Um, I would say though, if you're using any orals, they realistically should be removed
Yeah.
post prep, because you're just putting your liver and body under additional strain and toxicity and risking tanking your HDL even more than it probably already is. So yeah, there are certain things that I would say get removed straight away in a prep scenario. Glenn, realistically, personally, I prefer it out a day or two before show,
Yeah.
mainly because when it comes to smiling on stage, it's like
Yes, that's it.
gurning.
Point. I always take it out a couple of days before, or depending on the athlete, sometimes it's, that peak week, depending on what we're doing.
Mm,
But, when you're putting food in, etc. But absolutely, that's something I would recommend as well.
yeah. But
Mm.
yeah, things like T3, T4 should sort of be titrated down because otherwise you've got a down-regulated thyroid from being on exogenous thyroid support. You're also down-regulated from the calorie deficit. And if you then take away that thyroid support, you've got a really sluggish metabolism that you've then just thrown a load of fucking food at and wondered why you're puffing up like a water balloon.
For sure. And there's also, there is compounds that when we come into reverse out and you've been in that deficit state, and this is good you mentioned the clen. Sometimes when you put the carbs in, it can actually be a very uncomfortable experience. So if you're then post show and you're putting more food in, some compounds you need to be aware of as well.
I mean, personally, I get palpitations
Mm,
when I that big influx of food post show.
for sure.
Like, I mean, I can't sleep generally post show anyway, but the food is part of it as well. Just as I'm like, right, I'm ready. 3 o'clock in the morning. What should we do?
Let's go through some steps. No, I don't want to.
Yeah, well,
And then
Dan's well passed out by that point. Bless him. He's had a day of stress or months of stress peaking me. Not just it's stressful enough as a coach, but when your athlete is your partner.
yeah, that's a heavy a heavy badge of honor to carry. With the
Yeah, just we got back from dinner after Empro, and I just remember he was curled up on the sofa, just like this. Do you want to go to bed? Yeah,
don't know. With the unique challenges of female competitors, I'd say that we, of course, have spoken about a multitude of things across what we've been speaking about in the prep series, but I'd say maybe we've touched on menstrual cycle.
yeah,
The differences between females and males. I would say maybe there's a bit of, it's worth mentioning that females are meant to be higher body fat per se, generally speaking, as a
yeah,
gender. So,
yeah.
the likelihood that you want to gain body fat post show from a health standpoint, there could be a bit more onus on that. Yes, it's males as well, but if it's female specific, perhaps we could, that could be something to consider.
Yeah, because I mean, if you continue to be in a low body fat environment, your body is going to be far more consumed with restoring homeostasis, so return of thyroid and hormonal function, than it is going to be growing muscle. It's not until your body fat gets to a certain point, and that's when your menstrual cycle returns, that you're actually in a recovered position to start growing. But it is also, I suppose, unique considerations post show for females would be it's not unusual to that food kind of causing a surge of hormonal return. So
Yeah.
you may find that your first menstrual cycle, you have more exacerbated symptoms than you would have done prior to prep. Heavier bleeding, more pain, maybe more swings in mood, maybe more upregulation of hunger signaling. And that's something in itself is, when we come on, we generally want to eat the fucking world beforehand.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna
I'm gonna
have your
nibble on
mango.
mango. And as
Mm,
well, like you say there, I love how you frame that because that's why I did the post how I did when I said, I'm now growing. Because what I meant by that was I'm now at that point where health markers are in a better spot. My cycle's back. As you experience it, the point that you're aiming to get to then feel like you're pivoting into off season rather than reversing out. And that's why, as coaches, as athletes, we label it as like the prep, the reverse out, whether you're going to do a health phase somewhere, in between all of these different phases. But then it's like I'm looking to grow now. Your sleep's hopefully in a better spot. You feel a difference in your training as well. And that's why we have the phases labeled as they are. I think sometimes it's like, why is there so many phases? But that's a really good example, like you said.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
knowing that you're healthy.
Yeah.
Um,
I suppose it's what some of us never get our cycle back.
yeah,
So for me, it's very much how I feel day to day and how I'm performing in the gym, which kind of indicates that the reverse has happened and I am now growing.
yeah, yeah. You fit like you definitely feel the switch. I feel like in this reverse out, I've had like little inclinations to that. I'm getting to that point, and then certainly last week before the illness, obviously, I was like, okay, I'm getting PBs across the board. I actually
Yeah.
feel more intention there. I'm not feeling like I'm, halfway through a session, I'm thinking, fucking hell. It's like I'm lasting the session more and what have you.
It's, strength returns, strength endurance returns, the get up and go within the sessions, the want to go and do your sessions.
Yeah.
It's all those kind of positive biofeedback that for me makes me kind of go, yeah, I'm on the right track now.
I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Through the darkness. What is your biggest tip for reversing out? So obviously we've covered a fair few things. Is there anything you would like if someone said to you that question, what's your biggest tip? Have you got anything that springs to mind?
Um, you will always be hungry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Um, there is no pressure to get straight back in the gym if you're not ready to. We see so much on Instagram of like, oh, show day, post show day, leg session going down, straight back to it, not stop, no stopping this train, all this sort of shit. And it's like, that might work for some people. For me, I like to rest. I mean, I have trained post show. When we were in Toronto, it was like, well, I'm not wasting this fucking awesome gym, Pure Muscle and Fitness. The same with Chicago. I trained post show again because it was a really good gym. I wanted to train. But after Empro, I mean, didn't help that I had COVID. I think COVID, but I didn't. I think I went to the gym with Dan before we flew back, but I didn't train. I just, oh, I had a massage. That's what I had and then just chatted to some people. But yeah, I normally take at least a week off now post show. I need that kind of mental decompression, but that's what I need. Some people might not. Some people might need longer. And that's totally okay. It doesn't make you any less of a bodybuilder because you didn't go straight into the gym the day after a show.
For sure. I love that. I love that. I would say as well, being able to voice those types of things to
Yeah.
people, if you are getting any friction, or even if you're not, actually just opening the narrative to those closest to you that it might be helpful to sort of get them on board with how you're feeling. I feel like, this is something I talked to a completely different example, but my clients that suffer a lot with their menstrual cycle with like low mood and things like
Mm,
that real shift. I'm like, speak to those you live with so they don't keep asking you or badgering you things or what the normal runnings that agitate you when you're on your cycle. Just say that time of the month, can you just give me a bit of space? Similar scenario,
mm.
isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
voice because we've spoken about this, like little things can tick away at you, particularly in a prep. That doesn't, again, like with sleep, it doesn't stop when you're reversing out. You're still going
Yeah.
to have these effects.
You're still vulnerable. And
Yeah.
that's another thing to consider when you are in the gym. It's, you may feel better, but your body is still vulnerable. And training the day after a show, especially for the more muscular categories, and the level of dehydration you may have had to go through on show day, you're now going into the gym. You're putting your body and your muscles under excessive tension. For me personally, the risk of potentially tearing something, it's not fucking worth it. To what, say on Instagram, I went to the gym after a show. Well, that's great. I've trained and now can't train for 6 months because I've torn a pec.
For
Brilliant.
sure. And because you get this, like you have your post-show meal, maybe you have a nice breakfast the next day and you think you're fine. I'm fine.
You think you're fucking superhuman. And then it's half an hour after you've eaten, you're like back in the doldrums again, thinking I should be feeling better. And I suppose that's the other consideration, is that the food might, we've said it before, but the food is there and you might feel great initially when you eat that meal. But for me personally, I'm then straight back in the prep hole 30 minutes later, and
Literally.
it's like I've not fucking eaten.
For
But
sure.
it's just sticking with it. Keep to that structure.
Yeah, it's almost more relentless to reverse out than the diet.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
ah, that and
I
and
should.
Set a goal if you can, like as in I want to get to a point where I can grow. Like that can be a goal.
Yeah.
I want to get to the point where I feel better day. Again, I feel like there's going to be different mindsets. It doesn't have to be my next show is here. It's like could the goal be just more intrinsically bodybuilding related? I'd like to get back to training harder.
So the post-show blues reverse thing is a thing.
Yeah.
Um, and personally, the way I get over it is I will set myself strength goals in the off season. And
Yeah.
this is what I recommend to my clients as well. I actually set one today with Dan. I was like, right, I want 5 plates on the T-bar row as my immediate off season goal.
Yeah. It's
My
like
long-term off season goal is to be able to RDL and barbell row without my back fucking me up for days.
yeah, that would be a dream come true, wouldn't it?
Mm.
I feel like that as well. It does these types of goals help you to understand what you get from bodybuilding, and
Yeah,
that for you or I like, and that's not being egotistical. That's a goal for me. Like that would
yeah.
I'll be on the way thinking that fucking T-bar row. I'm gonna get X amount and that is fuel, and I feel like it helps you understand what you're doing it for as well, and hopefully you like training.
That's the thing. It's like it can feel a bit overwhelming. I think off season can be quite a sort of vacuous abyss in front of you.
Yeah.
But it's like you say, it's remembering why you're doing this. Is it for that instant or that short-term gratification of positive reinforcement? You're getting leaner and all the likes that you're getting on Instagram and all the buzz that you're getting because you're doing a show. If that is your why, then I don't know,
It's going to
possibly
transpire
not the
into,
most.
yeah, yeah. And this is where we can see the tricky relationship with food, with all of the different things in the reverse out, because the back of the why being for the, I don't want to say for the right reasons, what are the right reasons per se, but it's like bodybuilding's your thing. Training is a huge fundamental of that. And
Yeah,
at a point, hopefully, we'll come in to go, I feel good in the gym now. Let's do this. What do I need to improve on as an athlete? Even if you win, you all need to improve, generally speaking. So,
yeah,
what does that look like? Okay, let's get that tunnel vision, particularly when you get through the first bit of the reverse out. It's like, okay, I'm here to light it up. Let's fucking do this. And it just helps,
yeah.
and that's certainly something to consider.
Finding your love in the gym again, because prep can be that browbeating. Oh, I've got to train. Oh, I've got to do cardio. Before you know it, it's like I've spent half my day in the gym,
Yeah.
like with posing, cardio, training. It's like 7 hours in the gym. What the fuck?
Literally, like when we were dieting towards the end, Matt was like, there's literally no time for any, like, we don't see each other apart from
Yeah,
gym. So,
yeah.
um, we have touched on some of these. So, Muriel, who's an avid listener, she sent a load of questions. So, I want to just make sure she feels that it's useful sending in questions because she absolutely listens to all of our episodes. So, is there an ideal amount of weight to be gained in the reverse out? So we sort of touched on, what the reverse out can look like. Now, this again is something that can be very misconstrued in the bodybuilding space. You should
Mhm.
gain this or you shouldn't gain this. Or we spoke about it with Sarah once, didn't we? And she was like, who doesn't matter who the fuck is gaining that body weight or that body weight. It doesn't fucking matter. Listen to your coach.
Yeah.
There's merit to that. What would be interesting to share is yours and I's disparity because of our different
Hmm.
categories.
Yes.
I,
Yes.
I've said to you multiple times in voice notes, I could absolutely eat more right now. Yes, I'm hungry pretty much all the time. But I have to give merit to being a smaller female. I do have a good capacity, but I do not want to just ramp up my food for the sake of it because I actually feel, generally speaking, aside from being hungry, I feel good. So for me, I'm week coming up to week 8 and I'm 4 kilos up. Now you're week 5 or week 6?
And week 6. So prior
Ah,
to Busy Chicken Gate, I think I was, I think it was £30 up from stage weight.
So
in 5 weeks.
different. This is why it's cool that we both have different categories because it's
Yeah,
like it's going to be a different ball game. And this is the thing, it's so and that example is so independent, guys. Like you can't
yeah.
really blanket term it. I took on two, well, two, and then it was three clients from a coach that I won't name his name, but I took on one, and then one of the other team was like, "Oh, your coaching seems different. I'll go with you as well." And then there was a third one. They all had the same plan, everything was like training plan, etc. Anyway, the rate of gain for the off season was 1 centimeter round your waist per week. That was the rate of gain that they were heading for in a reverse out.
What happens when their cycle does return and they
I,
end up with some water retention and bloating, and suddenly they've gained 3 centimeters because they're just bloated?
I was
That's not particularly female specific, is it?
no,
Like,
and
what the
and
fuck?
and then the weight gain. It's like I really don't feel like there. How can you? Right, we want you to gain X amount of pounds per week. It doesn't really make sense to me.
I was with a coach for a while who, if I went above 75 kilograms, there was a problem. And
Uh,
my body was itching. It was like and this kind of fed into the scale check-in anxiety, more so than the prep did, to be fair, because
mm,
it's like, especially working shifts. So that's the other consideration. If you are working and it happens to be a rotating shift pattern, you do a run of nights, you could quite easily be 10 pounds up. It's
yeah,
not actual body weight, it's just fucked sleep. Like, but
totally.
yeah, it was like, right, you've gone above 75 kilograms again, right? No, and almost get shouted at for it. And it's like,
It
hang
doesn't
on a
really,
minute.
it's not really bodybuilding, is it? It's like
No,
just,
no.
just Weight Watchers. So
Yeah.
how do you know when and how much to adjust your calories and macros by? So that's a good question actually, because it's an expansion of what we've spoken about already with regards to I feel like you again, no reverse out is the same. So I from memory, I wouldn't say that I've gone into my reverse out plan and it's been the same every time I've competed. Obviously going assisted from being natty, that was different for me. I could absolutely eat more food as an assisted athlete.
Mhm.
But the escalation, personally, for me right now, is being able to do my check-ins, moving through this phase. How is my training performance? Generally speaking, how is my get up and go, my well-being? And is there room to essentially bring out a meal? So that's how I would do it right now. So I've
Mm.
got my 4 meals a day. And then would I go, okay, so I'll add some carbs or fat, however I'm going to do that to X meal because the other meals are a little bit bigger. Would I, where would I place that? And I would probably do that preference in a meal because they're already in a good spot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's very much sort of dictated on the individual's biofeedback as like, where are they hungriest?
Yeah.
And this is like, a coach can do as much as they can do, but they need the information from the athlete to be able to base their decision and make that informed decision.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so where are you hungriest? Me personally, I could eat the world first thing in the morning, and then after I train, my appetite sort of decreases as the day goes on.
Mm.
The other consideration for myself is we know that my appetite maxes out fairly quickly. So when Dan first did my reverse, he upped my calories by 1,000 calories on both the training day and a non-training day. And I looked at it and I was like, I could eat all of this now, but learning from last off season, where 8 weeks per show, I was like, can we go into a diet phase again, please?
Yeah.
It's like, how do we keep that appetite longevity? So he pulled it back down again. So it's kind of learning from previous preps. It's adjusting to where you're hungriest. And yeah, basing that on, well, how are you performing in the gym? How is your performance at work? Are you able to do your job? Are you able to interact with your kids? Are you still struggling cognitively? In which case, you probably need a little bit more food.
Yeah. Mm. And then being able to, like you say, I love that as well. I do this with clients with refeeds as well, depending on the athlete and what food, how much food we're putting in. It's like, where would you say you would digest that, the additional food a little bit more? Do we place it? Because some people wouldn't want to eat it all before bed. Maybe they want it in meal one and meal two.
Yeah.
So again, I really like how you said that with the athlete, communication too. Let's bring you on board a bit here. Like it doesn't need to be this dictatorship of this is what's optimal in my mind.
That's going back to the management of hunger and not binging. Another good thing to do with kind of managing portion control, I suppose, when you are out having that social off plan, is leaving a meal that you have to eat after that meal out.
Yeah,
So
good.
in the back of your head, you're like, I still have a meal to eat when I get home.
Nice.
So I don't want to fill myself up now because I've still got that food when I get home.
Mm.
Sorry, just go flipping back.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea actually, because then you're maybe a bit more mindful around, well,
Yeah,
and like your client example earlier, it's like being able to go from two starters to one starter, like things like that. It's like you're still getting a good palate experience.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's being reasonable to your GI as well. Um,
yeah,
anything else we didn't? Oh, that's a good one to finish on actually is are you both still eating all clean foods? Which I don't think we've ever said we're eating all clean foods, Muriel, but
no,
and
definitely
any
not.
meals off plan. So yeah, and I've put this in, a variety of things that are at the moment I'll have off plan when I want to. I'm not in a position where I feel like I need to have it on the set day per week personally. Obviously I coach myself, so I can sort of decide that as and when.
Mm,
And I feel like that's given me a level of not driving into like Saturday's my off plan. I can't wait for
yeah,
that type of stuff.
focusing on that off plan,
Yeah, I've
and
I've I've had that in the
it
past.
kind of it allows for life.
Yeah,
Like if you're rigid with I can only have an off plan on X day, well, what if somebody says, do you fancy going out for dinner on a Wednesday? Oh no, I can't. So you're missing out on that social opportunity because you're so focused on I have to have my off plan on this day. And if a coach, personally, unless that, unless your check-in is the next day, that is the only time I'm like, if you're going to have an off plan, I'd prefer you not to have it the night before you check in because it's just going to skew the look, skew the weight. But if it's some sort of big pre-arranged social event, I'll just move your check-in. It's not a big deal.
cool.
Like if you've got a wedding to go to, or it's a birthday or an anniversary, and your check-in day's the next day, we'll check in the day after.
Yeah, it's absolutely like it's given me the breath of fresh air to be able to go. Okay, I can eat off plan, and actually, I'm less inclined to, want to overeat. To off plan for me, and where we've spoken about it, almost accumulates into having a few snacks in a day. Like
Yeah,
rather than like we haven't been for, sit down meals and stuff for a good few weeks. Like, and I don't really, I'm not sort of driven to do that. And it's like actually, in a day we might have a couple of snacks, and I'm like, well, that's sort of like if I was gonna have an off-plan meal, it's still
yeah,
some more food. So I sort of changed the narrative, and it used to drive so much food focus for me, and then I would potentially overeat so much more than if I could just go, okay, I think I'll have off plan tonight. Like, cool. It's just
yeah.
I'm just gonna eat some food.
I mean, I have my off plan. We have breakfast on a Saturday, and that's for no other reason than it's both of our days off.
Yeah.
And we both would rather have, we're both breakfast people. We'd rather have a breakfast than a dinner meal. And mainly because at the moment it can be so fucking hot that you don't want to, you go to a restaurant and you're sweating, you don't want to eat. So at least it's cool in the mornings.
Yeah. And it sets you up
Yeah,
for a day. You can go for a walk with the dogs, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
chilled.
yeah. But then again, it's like if we get home and it's like, do you know what? Do you fancy Turkish tonight? Yeah, we'll have it.
Yeah, this is what, we have enjoyed about, and we spoke about it, I think it was Saturday when we were in the car. I was like, I think we'd probably rather, generally speaking, if it was dinner, have something like a Turkish and take it home or order it
Yeah,
and just enjoy some food, it's
yeah.
yeah, and taking that food focus out of it.
I mean, Dan and I go into a restaurant, we often, it can be more trouble than it's worth sometimes.
Yeah, I don't like dressing up and all that. I just want to.
Well, nothing fits. So, I mean, going for fucking, my mum came up to visit and going for an off plan with her was the most stressful thing I've done in months because it's like she has this expectation of what her daughter should look like. I do not fulfill that expectation, and I can't fit in any pretty little dresses anymore. So, like, I turned up with a sports bra and some culottes on, and she kind of looked at my midsection with horror. And I knew she wanted to say, "Oh, you've got your midsection on display at dinner. That's not very appropriate." But she couldn't because Dan's mum was there.
I love that. Make sure you're with certain people to have your back.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you to everyone for the questions, and of course, thank you to you for coming on again, Mana. I
No
love
worries.
our chats. We are known as the duo now. People are like, "Oh, I love your
Oh,
series. You guys are
oh,
just so cool," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, we're cool,
yeah.
and we're quite weird as well."
Yes, very, very weird.
Well, have a good evening and say hi to Dan for me.
He's fucked off with the dogs, I think.
Oh, he's gone out for another
Yeah,
walk.
yeah, yeah.
Love it. I'll speak to you soon, my
Right.
dear.
Indeed, innit? Catch you later.
In it, bruv.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. In it. In it, no.